Hey, playgrounders, and welcome to May. I'm Danielle YS, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, our theme in the Inner Peace Playgrounds is Regulate for Relief. We're working on cultivating calm and resilience to weather the storm. Whether that feels like a storm that's outside of you in the world or a storm that's within you. How many of you have ever put yourself last on your priorities list? I know I have. And how many of you have ever felt like it was selfish to make time for yourself? I get it. I used to be that way too, and sometimes I do fall back into that pattern. And I'm here to tell you that self care is not actually a selfish act because we can't give from an empty cup. Someone once told me, feed from the saucer and not the cup, because what's in the cup is meant for us. And what ends up in the saucer when our cup is overflowing, that's for others. If we try to feed from the cup, we're always feeding from our own stores, and we feel depleted, we feel exhausted, and we can get really sick. Self regulation is one of the most important ways that we can take care of ourselves. We are building our toolkit of practices that help to soothe us when times are rough, so that when we're dysregulated, we can come back to a calm state. And part of self regulation is also learning to identify when we are dysregulated or when we're not calm, when we're activated, when we're triggered. So, our quote of the month is self care is never a selfish act. It's simply good stewardship of the only gift that I have, the gift that I was put here on earth to offer others. Anytime that we can listen to the true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. That's a quote by Parker Palmer. And yes, you touch many other lives. I remember when I first started processing the grief of losing my dad at 3 years old. I was at a weekend retreat in Colorado listening to my teacher speak to a room full of over 100 people. I, of course, was sitting at the front of the room where everyone could see me. And I remember my teacher telling a story of a dream that he had had of being an astronaut that was on a spacewalk outside of the spacecraft. He had a pair of scissors in his hand, and the umbilical cord that connected him to the spacecraft and gave him air in his suit, he knew that he had to cut that umbilical cord with the scissors. When I heard that story, I felt like he was talking directly to me, telling me that it was time to let go of my dad and my attempt to connect with him again by becoming an astronaut like he had dreamed of doing. All of a sudden, I started to cry, and my default was to bow my head in shame and hide the tears from the room, try to hold them back. But there was something in the back of my head that said, be seen. So instead of holding back, I raised my head, I sat up tall, and I let the tears, the sobs, the shaking, the snot just come out of me. I continued crying through the rest of the talk, and the room emptied, and I slowly came back to regulation with taking deep, mindful breaths. And a stranger came and sat down next to me on the ground, silent for a moment, and then they said, "Thank you. Thank you for sharing your tears. They were for all of us." How many of you have ever held back tears? How many of you have ever let yourself cry and then felt 10 times better or more afterwards? What if giving your body and your spirit and your energy and emotions what they need was also an act of giving others what they need too? And in so many cases, what they don't know how to give to themselves. That's what this month is all about. Regulation to relief. So this month's mission is to watch the briefing, which you're doing right now, and complete the action, which I'll tell you about in a second. Attend yoga twice, either live or watch the replay. And of course, this season we have the bonus midday meditation. And then do the featured practice of the month, which is Mindful Breathing 101. And you can find that in your quick Calm Toolkit, Tools for Soothing Anxiety, Mindful Breathing 101. Now, are you ready for your action for this month? When you're stressed, when you're triggered, when you're overwhelmed, reach for that Mindful Breathing 101 tool. And then notice what changes and shifts within you. And come back here and tell us how that felt and what was possible for you after you used that mindful breathing tool. So, again, this month's mission is to watch the briefing and complete the action of using the featured practice when you're stressed and let us know how it felt. Number 2, attend yoga twice, as well as the monthly midday meditation. Number 3, do the featured practice of the month, Mindful Breathing 101. Okay, playgrounders, that's your mission for this month. I hope that it is a beautiful and calming month for you, where you are learning to reach for the tools when you get stressed and triggered, because after all, these are the tools we don't learn in school, but they are the tools that we need through life. All right, I will see you in there, and happy May.